Welcome back, everybody. Last week I went to Girona, Spain, one of the most well-known cycling havens in the world, and now I understand why. Waiting for me in Girona was a bike, a lot of good food, and some great friends. So I work for a bicycle tourism company called Trek Travel, and every year as the cycling season's about to kick off, Trek Travel flies all of the guides and office staff out to a central location so we can review company standards, practice bike mechanic skills, learn the new bikes in our inventory, and just generally have a great time together before we spread out around the globe to guide our respective trips. As you can tell from this clip, when you get a group of cyclists together with a fleet of brand new bikes, we're gonna make time to spin the wheels too. Apparently I got hired at a good time because in the company's 20-year history, this is the first time we've had our preseason festivities overseas. It wouldn't be a work event if we didn't actually work a little bit, but in true Trek Travel fashion, we had a lot of fun along the way too. We spent some lecture and hands-on time each day relearning mechanic skills such as the brake bleed demonstration you see here. We got an all-important bike fitting class from a sports physician, Dr. Mark Timmerman, and there were some fun twists thrown in here and there, like a blindfolded flat tire tube changing competition. The competition was tournament style, with each progressive round getting harder and harder than the last. While Blake was admirably fumbling his way through a blind front tire change, I was secretly lusting after the brand new fleet of Generation 4 Trek Domanis. Not that I have any semblance of a good reason to buy a new bike, but a man can dream. Back to the competition though, I am pretty sure Blake can swap a tube while blindfolded quicker than I can do it with my eyes open. Because it rained nearly every day we were in Girona and our classroom activities ended as the sun was setting every day, I wasn't able to do nearly as much exploring from the seat of a bike as I would have hoped. But, like any good tourist, I did my fair share of exploring on foot, which ended up being the best way to see many of the historic sites. What you see here is a small slice of the labyrinth of back alleys within Girona's Old Quarter, which is more than 2,000 years old, originating in the Roman era, and is heavily architecturally influenced by medieval times, which really shows through in these tight, tall, stone-laid structures. The Cathedral of St. Mary of Girona's bell tower quite literally towers above the city, and I wound my way through the maze and soon found myself walking along the perimeter of the cathedral. Built between the 12th and 18th century, it's amazing how much the cathedral looks like a castle, but I suppose that's to be expected during a period when religious worship and basic survival were at the forefront of most people's minds. You can even ascend one of the many staircases and find yourself atop the Wall of Girona, a former defensive fortification that surrounds the medieval town, from which you're treated to one of the best views of the city. It truly was stunning. Much of the time spent exploring, I was thinking about how this may be the most beautiful location my peasant feet have ever had the pleasure of standing. If you get 100 bicycle tour guides and staff together, they're gonna want to ride bikes, rain or shine, or in this case, a little bit of both. We started off on the wet roads behind Hotel Ultonia, which was a bit hectic with the traffic, especially when the signs are written in a foreign language. I don't need to understand Spanish to know that I'd lose a fight against a bus though, so I took it easy on the rollout and caught back up to the group just as we realized one of the bridges leaving town was out of commission. No worries though, since one of the locals knew of a winding dirt road that connected back up to the far side of the closed bridge. At this point, I'm just thankful that the bike doesn't belong to me, because this brand new steed is getting covered in rain and mud from these washouts. But honestly, I was having a great time, and we soon found ourselves back on the paved roads that draw cyclists here from around the world. Not to say that the gravel around here isn't equally epic, as the masses are quickly discovering, but there's better uses for a 2023 Domani on slick tires than a gravel road. I was lucky to be riding alongside a company guide who's local to the Girona and Barcelona area, and he took our group off the planned route to ride through the beautiful yellowish stone houses, arches, and cobblestones within the village of Monel, built in the 10th century. Emerging from Monel, we hit the road again and passed through Maggia, another lovely medieval village, this one containing fewer than 300 inhabitants. Anybody who's watched a cycling classic knows that cobblestone roads often lead to flat tires. But as far as flats go, this must be one of the prettier places to get one. This was just after lunch, and you can really appreciate the size of our group of cyclists as dozens pass through smiling and taking photos, laughing at the irony of a group of bike guides hanging out changing the tube on another guide's tire. This is usually something we're doing for guests, and in my personal experience, rarely does it involve as many smiling faces as you see here. The experience of riding in such an epic location was not lost on us, and a measly flat tire wasn't going to bring down our moods. We climbed Els Angeles on the way back into town, and if I'm lucky enough to visit Girona again when the weather's more favorable, it's on my cycling bucket list to put an effort in up the most famous climb in the area, Roca Corba. And as quickly as it arrived, my time in Spain was over. A couple hectic train and bus rides later, I was ascending into the great blue skies and not so great yellowish-green airline food, heading back to my home in the US of A. When it comes to cycling, food, architecture, history, and culture, you'd be hard-pressed to find many places better than Girona, Spain. The entire trip was one of the most amazing travel experiences I've ever had, and the riding was the crown jewel of it all. From the friends I was cycling with to the stunning roads and historic villages we saw along the way, it was unforgettable. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of my cycling content, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have been to Girona, leave a comment down below and let me know what the highlight of your trip was. I hope you enjoyed this video even a fraction as much as I enjoyed filming it. And until next time, have a great ride.